Hello, I'm Kads, and welcome to today's video. So the portal is once again alight, and it is time to pull some shards for the 10x summon rush for Pythion. As you can see here, I do have 53 sacred, so a little bit more than you last saw, and we're going to pull a handful of those to make sure that we get the fragments for Pythion. So for those of you who don't know, the theme for this 10x is block debuffs. So we have a bunch of champions here that all feature the buff block debuffs. Sepulchre Sentinel, decrease attack on the A1, and she has block debuffs here for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. Good for clan boss, 4-3 ratios. We have Mausoleum Mage, who has increased crit rate, increased defense, and block debuffs when he's ascended on a 3-turn cooldown. Pretty good. Korrigan the Crowned has it on his A3, where he, partially has it on his A3. He'll place it if for those who have defense higher than their attack. So somewhat of a block debuff. So it's not guaranteed, but he kind of gives you what you need in the instance. So it's not the worst thing in the world. The infamous Maneater, of course, Ancient Blood here, Unkillable King with the Unkillable and block debuffs on a 5-turn cooldown for Clan Boss or Demon Lord. For the legendaries, we have Elva Autumnborn, our recent guaranteed champion, 20 sacreds, but excellent healer, and she has it on this ability here, full cleanse with increased speed as well as block debuffs on a 3-turn cooldown. Brogni, Old Fusion, has it on the A3, increased attack, block debuffs, and a shield that cannot be removed, which is excellent. And we have the queen and bane of everyone's arena experience, Duchess Lilitu, who has it on her A2, where she'll place block debuffs and increase attack on a 4-turn cooldown with perfect veil. Lastly, the Void Legendary is Riho Bonespear, and she has a similar thing with a full cleanse, similar to Elva. Full cleanse and block debuffs for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown, with a massive heal as well, by the way. Similar to Pythion, actually. Similar to Pythion. So for moments like this is when I always like to pull up the 10x rate calculator, which has the current number of legendaries in the ancient and sacred pool. We're more focused on the second bit because we're pulling sacreds today. But essentially what this is telling us for this particular 10x is that I'll have about a 17% chance to get any of the 10x champions here, any of the 3, if I get a legendary. And these values get worse and worse with every new champion they add to the pool, which does not apply to any champions that you cannot pull, like Ronda, for example. But any champion that they do add to the shard pool will affect these numbers and slowly but surely make them worse and worse over time. So speaking of the summon rush itself, we do have to talk about the somewhat controversial milestones going on here. I will say that I mentioned it in my previous video that I expected the milestone here to be at 49.25. Contrary to what others might say, there is precedence for this high of a value. We had it for the Marinix fusion, where one of the epics was at 49.25. So this is not the first time they've gone this far. And also, that being said, they've also gone back down to 3,500, which is the value we typically expect. So this is one of those one-off cases, at least in my opinion. This is one of those one-off cases. So I would expect the next and subsequent fusions to be back down to 3,500. That being said, the lower milestone has not changed. It's still at 2150, and that's originally what I was going to target. But upon a second look, I noticed that they have 1,500 anniversary points for literally 1 extra sacred, and so I'm willing to pull 5 just to get that and not worry too much about it because I do have 53 sacreds. As you can see here, I pre-pulled my mystery shards. -6 because there's 2 more resets to go, and we always have that daily quest for pulling or summoning 3 champions, and I usually do that with mystery shards. So I had planned to get exactly 2150, but upon further review, since I'm targeting 2560, I'm slightly over as far as how many shards I needed to pull, but I wasted mystery shards, so I'm not really too concerned about that anyways. So as a free-to-play player, and I'll pull up my fusion plane here so you guys can take a look at that again. This is why I always recommend maxing out the champion chase. It's typically easier. The only pinch points are when it's a 2x sacred in the fusion, and then you also have to do a summon rush. That's where it can get a little tight. But when they offer you 2,500 points during a 2x ancients, max it out. Don't wait for the summon rush hoping for it to be 7 sacreds and then it might be 10. You never know. Prepare for 7. Don't forget about mystery shards, because if you do have 1500 mystery shards, you can easily make up 3 sacreds. So don't forget about those, or slightly less because it's 49.25. But just be prepared. Have 8, have 9. Whatever you can do, save up your sacreds so you don't get surprised by this. And focus on the champion chase. That's what I always recommend. That's what I always do. The downside, of course, is that you can't skip as many events if you wanted to do that. And so you kind of have to balance that out with your goals and intentions long term. But I recommend, if you can, max out the champ chase, especially when it's 2 times ancients or 2 times voids. Even if you're saving your shards, like you should be if you're free to play, then it's never going to be that bad, and you're never going to be caught off guard by these higher milestones, because all you care about, and like all I care about, is the lower milestone at 2150, which is very, very doable with 4 sacreds. Alrighty, so as usual, I always like to show you guys my mercy, and in this case we're focusing on the sacred portion, where you can see I am 3 shards into mercy. So that does not mean I'm guaranteed a legendary at all, because that goes up to it can go up to 50 something sacreds without a legendary. So let's not get too excited here, but there is a decent chance, 20-ish% chance that I might get a legendary out of the 5 sacreds I intend to pull. So with that in mind, who am I looking for? Exactly the same people as last week for 2 times ancients. I would love Poison Exploder, so Zavia or Eleanoril. I would love Molly Tankard for the no contact provoke, and I would love a Valkyrie for an improvement to my Demon Lord clan boss team. I'm also on the lookout for Duck the Pierced for our Faction Wars, as well as not any, but some or certain Dark Elves for my Faction Guardians, as well as any Sylvan Watcher epics to fill out that Faction Guardians as well. Okay, and with that, we are ready to get into the pulls. We've got the space, we've got the cash, and hopefully we've got the luck. 5 sacreds, here we go. Number 1 is going to be an epic. That's fine. That is Vala. I think that's a dupe. Pretty sure that's a dupe. I think she has a shield, or she hits harder, or she takes less damage when she's under a shield, and then increased defense, and then has a really unreliable defense break on the A2. I think she kind of needs a buff to make that 100% chance. So, meh on the first epic. Second champion is Rearguard Sergeant. That might help me with Faction Guardians. I don't recall if I already have a dupe of her, but ally protection, continuous heal, good for Demon Lord clan boss, decreased attack on the A2, pretty high chance, 75% chance, and decreased defense on the A1. Really solid Faction Wars champion, and really solid Demon Lord clan boss old school champion. Number 3 is going to be lag. Lag, but it's an epic. Gerhard the Stone, really heavy hitting single target damage dealer, but really doesn't have a job in the game. So everything, I guess he only has 2 abilities. Yeah, he can hit really, really hard, and that's about it on a target. Not the most versatile champion in the game. Definitely not. Could probably use another luck. A lot of the single target damage dealers in the game, they really need some extra turn mechanic or some way to do more than just kill one person and then wait for their next turn, because that's just not going to work in a lot of metas. So moving on, number 4 is going to be okay, Skull Lord Vargal again. I pulled him, I don't know, like a month or 2 ago. I mean, he is good. He does have a provoke on one enemy that's a place, so it's affinity friendly on a 2-turn cooldown, 1-turn provoke, decrease attack AoE, and then he can get a bunch of extra hits on the A1. And, we all know him for his silly passive where he reduces your max HP every time he's hit, and he also can revive Skullsworn, which is just more annoying in Doom Tower than anything else. But that's a bummer. That is a dupe. I guess that's a Faction Guardian, so that's a boost to HP for Lizardman. So I guess we'll take that. But there's your mercy, and there's your confirmation that the 10x is a scam. Last one here, number 5. Definitely not a legendary. Epic. Going to be a new champion, Enda Moonbeam. Well, he is a Sylvan Watcher, which is nice. But he's a new Sylvan Watcher, so he's not going to help with the Guardians. But I don't remember what he does. Let's see, decreased defense on the A1, 40% chance. Meh. 3 times at random. Increased duration of random debuff. That's really unreliable unless you're only hitting a boss. Attacks all enemies, places leech. I guess that's 100% chance. Could be neat-ish for faction wars? I don't know. Increase speed by 2 for each enemy under leech, which means a maximum of 8 speed. I don't know. That's not really knocking my socks off here, but I'll keep them. I keep all epics that are unique. So there you go. 5 sacreds. Kind of a dud, but at least we get a faction guardian for legendaries and maybe some epics. And next, as usual, as is tradition here, we have some Soulstones mortal to pull. I think I'm close to an immortal, so I'm probably going to buy one of those as well. But let's see what we can get from the mortals first. Quick 10 popper. I'm always expecting a ton of rares. Oh, okay, I do have Tashada. I do use her for a secret room, so I might throw some blessing on her. I think I already have the Rowan Soul. I don't use Taurus, or I don't even have Romero. Bunch of rares that are useless. Okay. And the second set of 10 is going to be rares. All of the rares. Karam, don't use him. Single target poison exploder. Delver, don't use her. I think she got a buff recently. Nothing of note. Okay. So let's collect these 2. Let's go to the Mystic Market. And I'm just going to buy 1. I'm holding on to some of these soul coins because I'm looking for some higher tier souls to buy. So that's why I'm kind of keeping a floor of like 1,000-ish immortal soul coins. But in this instance, we are going to buy 1. When I get above 2,000 is when I buy another one. So here we go. Oh, 2 more and I get 300. Ooh, 2 more and I get an Eternal Soulstone for the first time. I've yet to get an Eternal Soulstone, by the way. That's the joys of the free-to-play of never getting any of these. A rare. Rip. Rip on the 3-star rare. Well, that was a waste. Alright. Well, there you go. There's the Soulstone summons for this week. Alrighty, so that's going to do it for today's video. As you can see, I'm now up to 85 out of 100 fragments toward Pythion, and if we look at the fusion plan once again, you can see that we are on Saturday here, and I have 15 fragments remaining. I get 5 from Classic Arena, 5 from Dragon, starts tomorrow. Classic Arena has already begun today, and then the last 5 from the Artifact Enhancement 3 that begins on Tuesday. So I am still well on track to finish the fragment summon. After having some time to review, I was able to discover that Vala and Garhard and Enda are all new champions, so they're not going to help with Faction Guardians, but they are just new, so new champions on the account, awesome. Skull Lord is definitely a dupe, and Rearguard is a dupe that does not help with Faction Guardians because I already have a copy of her in there, so kind of a bust as far as any of my targets on the wish list this week, so that was a fat rip. Let me know what you guys pulled down in the comment section below. I'm very curious to know, and how many sacreds you guys pulled, and what's your strategy for 10x events. Hopefully you guys are more in my camp where you have a ton of sacreds just saved up over the months and years. A lot of that's just from Clan Boss, Doom Tower, etc., 3v3, whatever I can get, and I just make sure that I don't pull more than I need to, and that's how you get tons of sacreds. Or at least that's how you accumulate tons of sacreds, so pro tip there. If you like this type of content, be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.